we go. Can you get making some coffee, baby? Though.
It's back.
Sorry, I'm so late, but it's what happens when you're short for time. The build will taste extra yummy. It's like fresh out of the oven. No QA, no nothing. Just straight out of my compiler to you. No filter.
Yeah.
It's hot
Oh,
off
I
the
came out
press.
with a really cool idea. I thought I didn't have time to implement this one, but I'll do it. But while I was playing Elite, I thought, man, what would be really handy is if you could have a different auto center setting for when you had flight assist on versus off. Because right? So the next build will have that.
Sense of Elite, yeah, for sure.
Because whenever I turned flight assist on, all of a sudden I had to move my mouse like crazy.
Yeah, drag across the screen. Yeah, absolutely.
And it'd be better if I just had different settings for both. So that's what I'm gonna do. So you can put them the same, or you can make them different. Okay, I'm just going through the list of changes here in my source control, so when I go over the devlog, I don't forget something important that changed. Since it's kind of a long list.
There was one thing I forgot.
Yes, honey? Yeah, I'm gonna be streaming, don't worry. I'm just getting ready. Boop. Okay.
Oh, the HUD screens have a little bit of a glow to them now.
Yeah, and you can tweak that too in the theme editor. So you can set it to full black if you want, or you can put a little glow, or you can put more glow or less glow. It's configurable.
Oh, I don't have an opinion on it, Random. I guess it's better than nothing, which is what I was using.
It's to better match the. Yeah, I try to more closely match Ivan's design. The first version was just about getting it working. But there's a new theme menu in the cockpit menu where you can do all that stuff. Okay. Great. I think I'm gonna get the. If somebody can check my stream. Hey guys, let's see who's here. Sensory, Turi. Nice seeing you guys. Hope I didn't butcher your names. So, yeah. Let me bring up my my Twitch here. I will go live. CPU games. There we go. So when I'm doing this stream, wait until the Q&A if you have any questions, okay? Okay. Yeah, I'm not much of a streamer, so bear with me. Okay, devlog time.
Ooh.
Having a reticle
Okay,
again.
the broadcast is live, so let me know if you guys have any problems seeing it, if I sound alright. Yep, I will. Are you guys seeing me there on the stream?
I think I need to join your server.
Okay, hold on, let me
Where's the stream?
It's twitch.tv/CPU Dreams. Okay, I see it. Okay. How do I get the chat?
There you are.
Okay. And how do I get my... How do I get the chat window open on here? Does anybody say something on chat?
Let's see.
On the stream chat?
There you go.
I've noticed that sometimes, depending on where I am on Twitch, you can either see the chat or not see the chat. Am I doing something wrong? Watch now with 5 years. There we go. Is that the... Sorry, guys. I'm trying to get my chat up. How come I don't see the chat interface on the Twitch website?
Which no longer cares about their users.
Open up on my phone real quick. And welcome to stream, guys. I'm gonna start going over the changes in just a moment.
Woo.
You can see the chat there. Okay, Little Dragon's been monitoring it. Why don't you sit over there, honey? And I want to look at it on my phone too. I promise I will get better at this live devlog thing with time. Okay. Perfect. I can just mute the sound. Okay. Send a message if you're on the chat, guys, so I can see it on my phone.
That's how I used to
Okay.
do.
Okay, I see it now. Good, good.
Actually, I used to
on my
use a
phone.
second
Hey guys,
PC.
hey. Okay, so I am gonna go over the changes, guys. Welcome to today's developer log plus playtest. Today is June 27th. This week, I've worked on a few things. The most obvious ones are the new theme editor. So if you guys go to join a server, you'll be able to see in the cockpit submenu of your HUD menu, there is a new option now. It's called Theme Editor. There you can open up the web version of the theme editor to experiment with different colors. You can then copy those themes from the web to your clipboard and then import them in game. You can export them from the game to your clipboard so you can load them on the website. You can save the theme as the new default theme for that particular fighter. You can also load the currently saved theme for that particular fighter, or you can reset back to the default theme. In the long run, I plan on coming back here and letting you adjust the colors from the game itself, but for now, it's easy enough to do it through the website. The one thing you will notice is that the colors on the website are going to be slightly different than the ones in game, because the colors on the websites aren't going through our lighting correction and lighting pipeline in the game. So the red might be a different shade of red, but it'll still be red. Okay, so that's the other thing that I did besides adding theme support to the new displays is I went and beautified their themes to get the displays to better match the design on the website. Last week's version was just focused on getting things working, so the layout wasn't one for one what it was on the website. It didn't have a lot of the little small touches that Ivan had done in the design. So in this version, I went in and tried to recreate what's on the website as closely as I could. It's not never going to be exactly the same, just because I'm working with different UI design tools than the web version, but I made it significantly more similar. Let me look at my list here, make sure I didn't miss anything. But that's sort of the most important thing. There's one other really big change that I'm gonna wait for last, because there's a lot to discuss around it. Oh, the other thing I'm gonna say is that the displays are pretty close to done, minus small refinements. But the HUD, if you look at the upper right corner, you say Crix killed the bot. That's still using the old blue and red colors and not my display colors. And the score at the top of the screen isn't using the display colors either. So that's going to be changed so that the chat, the kill logs, all the sort of stuff outside of displays matches the themes that your displays are using. And also there's a new chat UI that's being worked on that's going to look a lot nicer than the current one. So, and the same thing goes for the HUD menu. So yeah, so those old parts of the UI, the sort of heads up display parts, haven't been worked on yet, but they will be worked on soon. Okay. So let's see. There are some fixes. Arxers, hope I pronounced your name right. There was a problem where if you mapped a hat switch, for example, to menu right on a joystick and used that as an alternate mapping, it would get in the way of mapping buttons, so I fixed that. Days noticed last playtest that there was a chance of you spawning inside the asteroid on the Primordium map, so I fixed that. Another change I did is the little on the center display below your speed bar, you get little messages like, you know, if I do target lock, I updated that so that if the message is larger than the area available there, instead of clipping like it was doing in the previous build, it would shrink it to size and wrap it. So you see target unlocked, target locked. Sometimes you can get some longer messages that wouldn't previously fit, so that has been fixed. Okay, another really cool little change is in the previous build, if you had a wingman, let me set up Crix here as my wingman. If you had a wingman targeted and they were within scanner range of your ship, they would show up on your contacts list. You can see there that Crix is my number one wingman. And if Crix were to take hull damage, that number one would start blinking when it dropped below 50%, and then would start blinking twice as fast if he there he is crashing in. Yeah, the brake, so you got repaired, Crix. Good effort there. Let me start the match. But if he takes damage, the little number one would start blinking, and if he took even more damage, it would blink twice as fast. He's still above 50%, so it's not blinking yet. Crash yourself once more, Crix, but don't blow yourself up. So what changed in this build, previously that would only applied to your wingman. There you go, you can see that he's blinking in the contacts display. It used to only apply to your wingman, now it applies to any contact, friendly or enemy, on the contacts display. And it's also visible on the heads-up display. So you can see Crix here is blinking both in the contacts display and in front of me. So that's a quick way to get a general idea. Now it's blinking twice as fast because these drop below 25% hull. Give you a general idea of their hull status without having to take your eye off on the contact and look at the target display on the right. Now you're still expected to look at that display, and it's part of the skill of a good pilot of being able to quickly glance at your instruments while also keeping an eye on what's in front of you. So over time, you're going to get better used to that cadence. In the past, you only really needed to do that for your own ship, but now you're going to have to do that for both your target ship and your own ship. So you want to keep an eye on your status on the left display and on your target's detailed status on the right display. Okay, so that's new and that's very, very useful. Another change that I made is if you bring up the HUD menu, you'll see that now it shows you the number of human and AI players on each team. So it's showing that they're on the Katean team. There are 4 NI, that's short for natural intelligence. So there's 4 humans on the Katean side, and there's 12 AI. And on Haldis side, in this location, there's 1 natural intelligence and 15 AI. It was free for all, which showed you the total number of players. In the past, we didn't have that, and this is useful, for seeing how the teams are balanced or just seeing how many people are on the server. One thing I'm working on for the future is some auto balancing features for the teams, but that's not in this build. Randall Liberty, I fixed the spelling mistake you pointed out in the main menu. Let's see what else is in here. So I went over the theme stuff. Commander Smartass. I listed the device names next to the button names in the hardware menus here. So if you go to joystick buttons, you can see I have button 13 mapped to device offline because that's my my gladiator. But if it was online, it would get the name from the device and it would say that button 13 was on that gladiator. It's very useful when mapping either buttons or axes to know exactly which device. If you have more than one, it's mapped to without looking into the details. Very good suggestion, smartass. I might say that was a smartass suggestion. Okay. Oh, another thing about the displays is the rendering of the radar has been significantly improved. Basically, I changed the way it was being rendering. Before it was a little bit fuzzy. Now all the symbols on it should be a lot sharper and clearer. So that makes it a lot easier to see who's who. Also, I made sure that whoever you have targeted, which is the white triangle, always gets drawn on top of everybody else. There's also a new icon for your home. So the home is this little sort of looks a little bit like a house icon. Looks like a rectangle with the point on it. So that's a new art for it. There's also a new art for any incoming impacts. Looks like a little missile. So that's the same icon you'll get whether or not you're about to crash into a rock or if you have an LRM or SRM following you. And again, all the symbols will point up if the target is in the upper hemisphere and point down if in the lower hemisphere. One little tweak I did do is previously the actual icons would shrink and grow based on the vertical distance, so they would get bigger as they got closer to you vertically and smaller as it got further away. But I realized it was such a subtle distinction that it really wasn't doing anything, so I decided to just simplify it, and now it's the vertical dimension is purely represented by the symbol. Okay, so it's a 100% 2D representation of the 3D space. But the idea is really that you know, for example, I'll go target somebody, right? They're to my left, you know, turn until they're in front of me, and then I'm gonna go look down until I see it flip direction. Then I look up and they're in front of me, right? When that direction flips, then you know that they're aligned with the center of your view, right? Okay, so yeah, so the rendering is much sharper, easier to read, and easier to explain how it works now as well. Moving on, already talked about the targets blinking. The symbols also got made larger and sharper on that display. Okay, now getting to some of the really cool stuff. So there's the last thing I did, and the reason why this stream started a little bit late is that there are now new targeting buttons. So you'll notice I'm going to fly around here to keep an eye on my contacts display. These target buttons are context sensitive, so they're only active if your HUD menu is closed. So I'm going to close my HUD menu, and I'm going to press menu down, and it's going to target my first contact. Menu down again, and it's going to do the next one. So basically the menu down and up keys work as previous and next contact keys, so you can quickly cycle through the contacts on your contacts display. Current players will notice that that's very similar to how the contact array HUD menu works. The idea is I'm trying to move you guys from using that menu to using the contacts menu. So you can press the menu up, menu down to cycle through that. Another really cool thing, let me get closer to somebody, to the action to show this off. And I'm going to restart the match real quick. Another cool thing is if you have somebody targeted and you press menu back, it will execute a new targeting command that's called target the opposing contact, the nearest opposing contact. So let me demonstrate how that works. I have Crix targeted here. I'm going to fly towards him. And now, if I press left menu, it's going to target the nearest enemy relative to Crix that's on the contacts list. So in this case, it was Bomber 17. So watch out for Bomber 17, Crix. They're close to you. And if I have an enemy targeted and I press left, it'll target the nearest ally. In this case, Light 18. And Light 18 was close to Bomber 13. So it's very useful. You can cycle through that contacts array. And if you want to help an ally, and you already have them targeted, press back menu, and it'll target the nearest enemy on your contacts array towards that player. If you want to find a nearby ally because you want help with the enemy you currently have targeted, do the same thing, menu back, and it will target the nearest ally. So very useful. I don't know, I haven't seen any game that has done that before, but it just came to me the other day and I thought this is a really cool feature. It's basically the same as your nearest ally and nearest enemy keys that are already in the game, except they're relative to your target, and it always targets somebody that's opposing that target, so it works with both friendlies and enemies. I'm excited to see how that works during the playtest. And now, for the really big change probably the main thing I want to test during this playtest is, if you probably already noticed if you've joined the server, that the 3 difficulty settings have been changed. So previously, when you joined a server, you got the option to pick between Cadet, Ace, and Veteran difficulties. The Cadet, all those 3 difficulties, they didn't change your ship's performance, your weapons, or anything like that. All that they did was basically change your ship's displays and instruments. So when you were in Cadet, you could use everything. You could use the lead indicators. You got little targeting boxes. When enemies got up close, they were using the scope. There were names. There was a lot of visual indicators to help you as a cadet fly around and help you lead your targets. If you switch to Veteran, everything was pretty much the same except for your lead and lag pip would be hidden. let me show you by making sure I have my lag pip on. Yeah, so let me go to an enemy. So if you switch to, if you're in cadet and I have this light, you can see that faint gray circle. That's my lag pip. If I switch to veteran difficulty, that lag or lead pip would then be hidden, forcing you to have to use the force. You to calculate your own lead. No targeting computer, put it away, right? You have to sort of develop your own sense of lead, pay close attention to the enemy, or get really close to compensate, right? And then Ace was the next level beyond that, where it hit a lot of the visual display elements, and you really had to like use your scope, use your mouse look, you use your head tracking to look at opponents and really keep a really sharp eye on the radar, because there was almost nothing on the screen besides the fixed reticle, right? In this build, what I'm trying to do is get us to a unified difficulty setting if possible. And the idea I came up with is basically taking the sort of concept behind Ace mode and integrating that into the new silent running mechanics that are being added to the game. Basically, if you're in active silent running mode, your sensors would sort of go into this decreased mode and you would have to rely more on your visuals. That's not in the game yet, but that's where Ace is sort of going to be repurposed. And then come up with a new lead indicator that was similar to Cadet, but also had the virtues of Veteran. And that's what I added. It's just version 1, so it's still going to be some refinement. So I'm going to go ahead and switch to that. So now if you go to the difficulty settings and the mission parameters, you're going to see that there's the old lead indicator, and there's also the new lead reticle, right? So I'm going to switch to the new lead reticle now. Okay, the difference between these two reticles is that when you're using the old lead reticles, you get a predicted impact point. So the computer is showing you where you need to aim in order to hit your target. With the new lead indicator, this lead rank, is showing you how good your aim is instead of telling you where to aim. And the way it does that is you get this ring, and the ring shrinks the closer, the better your lead is on the target. So if I follow this light fighter, you'll notice that the lead ring gets smaller and smaller until it just barely until it touches the green circle, which is the new fixed reticle. So if your aim is bad, you get a big ring. If your aim is good, it becomes smaller. So that means instead of having an obvious point to aim at, you have a little bit of assistance helping you know, okay, how good your current shot is, but you're not being told where to aim. You're simply be giving some guidance. Okay, you're doing good. You're doing good. Adjust it. And if you want to fly like veteran, you can just go to the control systems menu and just set it to off. The other interesting thing about this lead ring is that the old pips, if you had more than one weapon equipped, it would just show an average firing solution. Whereas with this lead ring, it will show you the best. It will shrink based on which weapon you have the best lead on. So if you had one fast weapon and one slow weapon, and you had a good firing solution for the slow weapon, then it would show a tight circle like this. If you had a good solution for the fast weapon, it will also show a tight circle. And it's up to you based on based on how close you are to target to realize, okay, it's this weapon or that weapon. But it's no longer an average firing solution. But yeah, and it's smart. It takes into account the target's movement, how close they are to you, but it makes it a little bit easier to fly without the old veteran mode. But it generates what I feel is a much smoother learning curve, because basically, the system doesn't change as you become better at calculating the lead, and you'll get to that point where the lead indicator shrinks much more quickly. A newer player is going to have to, okay, oh, I'm overshooting, I'm undershooting, and make adjustments. So it's this analog system versus the old all or nothing system of the old pips. But yeah, it's definitely a challenge. So but keep in mind that your opponents have the exact same limitations as you, except if you're going up against a crazed government because he's a beast. But yeah, so we're gonna be experimenting with those two different lead indicators and see how it turns out in practice, and then getting you guys this feedback. So I think with that, I covered all the changes in this build. The last thing I need to cover, oh, and I don't know if I mentioned at the beginning of the stream that this is the June 27th devlog. Little Dragon told me I should make sure I mention that. But the last thing I'm going to talk a little bit about what's going on next week. So if you guys aren't aware, I try to release at least one build every week. Next week, it's mainly going to be refinements based on today's playtest, and then some behind-the-scenes improvements. What I'm working on behind the scenes is, if you guys, some of you guys know, HunterNet is evolving and turning into a more open world design. And I've been doing a lot of behind the scenes work to make sure that the servers and the game can handle, multiple players spread out across the entire, world in different locations, warping back and forth. You flying in a little private instance, setting up your joystick, all on the same server, right? And also bringing these capital ships to life. So some of the work I'm doing next week is basically low-level prototyping for these capital ships and the asteroids. I'm not going to go into any detail until it's a bit further along. But besides getting us ready for that new open world design, the other reason I'm working on that next week, at least for a few days of next week, is because we're planning a new roadmap behind the scenes. And in order for me to do a good job of the roadmap, I need to have a better idea of, like, out of the work that's not done yet, how hard is this? How challenging is this? So basically getting my hands dirty to get a better estimate on that. Okay, so yeah, so that's the main thing going on next week. And without further ado, guys, I'm gonna ask first everybody who's on the Twitch stream, if you have any questions. Now's the time to ask. I'll look at the Twitch chat, and then I'll read out your questions and answer them, and then we'll talk to the guys here in the voice chat with me. If anything didn't make sense, speak up now. Oh, one thing I forgot to show off while you guys are thinking of any questions. If you go to the refit menu, I went ahead and loaded some a theme. So here's my light fighter theme, and here's my little groovy heavy fighter theme, right? So you can tell that you have the themes as per type. It might be a little. Oh, okay. I was wondering who was attacking me. So yeah, so you can when you switch and refit, you can switch your themes. A little tip is, whatever your energy is being displayed on your shield display, that's going to be used for allies. Whatever is used for your heat signature, that's going to be used for enemies. So that's really important. If you like to have different themes per fighter and using radically different color schemes, I think that's a useful way of doing about it. Okay, somebody had a question. Any plans to re-add animated? Oh yes, definitely. Good question, Pedrodactylus. Pedrodactylus asked if I'm going to do animated joysticks. Yes, the whole pilot body should be animated. So the right hand, which is your pitch and yaw stick, the left hand for your strafes, and those pedals down there, all that should be automated. And when I work on VR support, I'm going to try to get this whole body to like shift around the cockpit if you like lean forward and look at the displays. Yeah. It used to be animated, but the new pilot and joystick setup is different than what the old code was expecting, and I didn't have time to implement that yet. Any other questions there in chat? No problem, mate. Okay, we'll you go ahead and post any questions you guys have. I'm gonna ask the guys here in voice chat. Guys, any questions about today's changes? Go ahead and speak up.
Well, so you
Say
mentioned
your name first, so we know who it is.
No, okay. I'll let anyone that has a serious question go first.
Go ahead, Rui. Is that you, Rui?
Yeah.
Go ahead, Rui. Ask your question.
I was gonna say,
be all serious.
You said that you're preparing the server architecture and everything to be able to support like what you're doing in the future.
Yep.
But the industry standard seems to be just putting in some placeholder shitty netcode and then just leaving it there and never touching it. So is that what drove you to move away from the usual
industry standard? Oh, I guess because it's a very personal project, and I have I don't know, I have a fragile ego. I don't like things when they don't work. I get upset. I want to get it to work. Maybe not a fragile ego. That's not the best way. I think it's because, it's a project that's so dear to my heart. I play it every week, and when things don't work, I get I get very motivated to fix them. The other reason I think the netcode is as good as it is because it's something that I've been, I have experience on going back decades. A lot of people say that my voice sounds young, but I'm actually probably one of the oldest people on this stream, and I've been programming probably longer than most people have been alive. I'm not 45, but I've been programming going on 3 decades, I think. So, and a lot of that has been network programming. So so I want to make sure that that's always been one of those areas that I wanted to make sure was always super refined. I think the other thing that really helped is that, we're a multiplayer community and we have people from all over the world. So, and I used to play from Taiwan on US servers. So that always kept me motivated to make sure I could be competitive even with 200 plus ping.
Yeah.
So great question there, Rui. Any other questions, guys? Don't be shy.
Me.
Who's me? Tell me your name because I'm not looking
Smartass.
at the smartass. Okay, smartass. Hit us with your
Yeah.
smartest question.
Can I change the pip color on the theme editor website? It seems
Yes,
like I can.
the-
Maybe it's
the-
one of
the-
the things.
Yeah. So the theme color. So there's 4 colors. There's your primary color, secondary color, border color, and background color. The pips, the fixed reticle uses your primary color, and then the pip uses the secondary color. So whatever you pick for those 2 colors is used for the pips, and then the border color is used for the hit indicator.
Cool. Thanks.
You, if you want to copy the clipboard and then go to the cockpit. So you want to use are you going from the website to the game? So you need to go to cockpit alarms, and then go to theme editor, and then import theme from the clipboard. So that will import whatever you copied into your clipboard, right? And then if you like it, go ahead and save it. Otherwise, if you switch cockpits, if you switch ships, or if you hit reset default theme, you're gonna lose those settings. Okay? And you can also it's bi-directional, so you can also copy whatever you currently have in the game, and then paste it on the website to look at it on the website. Okay. Any other questions, guys? Don't be shy. Oh, sweet Jesus, Renzo. Yeah. I left the colors, the default colors, basically the old familiar. But yeah, feel free to experiment with different color schemes. And if in the long run, we'll probably change the default colors to something picked by an artist instead of picked by a programmer. But yeah, these are the current colors. Yeah, and then silent running is going to be interesting, how it's going to affect the UI and stuff.
The only issue I have is there's no friend or foe differentiation yet.
What do you mean? The foe uses the secondary color and your friends use the primary color.
So, well, I don't know what I did earlier, but I had like
You
different
must
colors.
have picked the
for
same color
everything.
for both, or really similar
It
colors.
must have been, because it's like...
Yeah.
I
So
think
normally
now-
in the
Oh,
default
I know
color
what it
scheme, green is
was.
friendlies and red is enemies.
It was when I was using target friendlies. The friendlies would be different until I target them, and they'd be targeted as the same color as if I target an enemy. That's what it was.
They do. The other thing is the target lock color is your border color, right? Which in the default color scheme is white. So when you have somebody target locked, whether they're friendly or enemy, they're going to show up as a white triangle on the radar, and their name is going to show up as white on the HUD.
Yeah, that's why. That's
Okay.
why.
But if you're looking at them on the HUD, then you'll see they have asterisks next to their name if they're enemies. So, and the target display will of course be in the correct color. The colors also used for the 3D target box. So if you look at this light fighter I'm following here, if I'm behind or beside him, he's going to be in the border color, which is white. And then if I'm facing his guns, or if his guns are facing me, I should say, then he'll switch to the red enemy color in this theme. Okay, so so yeah, guys,
Beautiful.
That's the main changes in today's build. How's the new ring? I implemented that today. Yesterday I finished the beautification, and today I did the ring and the targeting stuff.
Yeah, I like it.
You like it, right? It's like
ring.
totally unique, a unique indicator.
It might be. Nah, maybe not. I don't know. I was gonna say it might be a little too thick, like as a UI piece, but I don't know. I think it's fine.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
experiment
that's
with different thicknesses. Oh, the other thing I forgot to mention. So the size of the reticle, I made sure it was tuned. So your fixed reticle ring, the green ring, it's set so when you should use that to gauge the distance to your target, right? So Well, there's a couple things you can use to gauge distance. You know, before I used to show the actual distance number on the screen, but now it's moved over to that right display. But you have a few other ways to judge distance that's not that obvious. I'm going to talk about those real quick. Number one, look at this bomber here. Those two asterisks. If he's within 4 kilometers, he'll have 2 asterisks right next to his name. Same thing on the context list. So that's half my scanner array distance, right? Contacts go up to 8 kilometers, right? Just like the scanner array. If I get outside of 4 kilometers, then he's going to switch to 1 asterisk, right? And he's blinking now because he took some hull damage. So that's one level of sort of rough distance estimate that you have both on the HUD and on the context list. The other one is once they get within radar range, your lead ring will show up at 1,500 meters. And then the other way is that the green ring, the fixed aiming ring, the size is calibrated. So regardless of what zoom level you use, notice how it changes size depending on your zoom level. If your ship is around the same size as the ring, then they're around 1,000 meters away from you. So if you want to know when you should open fire, don't open fire if the target is smaller than the green ring. Try to get if the green ring is smaller than then you know that you're at least 1,000 meters or less, right? And that's the same way people in World War I or World War II would use their targeting reticle, their iron sights to judge the distance of the target, right? And then if you want to really find a finer readout, look at the display. The display shows the distance to the target in 100-meter increments. Okay, but it's perfectly kept that way so that you have to use all of your different senses and displays and sort of balance that out yourself, right?
Mm.
We have
I like
10.
seeing it.
We have 10 humans on this team. Oh yeah, there was one other thing I was supposed to announce, a very important one. So this is another cool thing. I do believe we have a new patron, but I haven't looked up their name yet. But we have a new pilot instructor. I haven't officially given him the role yet because we still have to have our pilot instructor meeting. But here it is. I found him, the man, Renzolo. I don't know if he's still here, but Renzolo is taking up the mantle as our new pilot instructor. Since Craze Gunman is still a pilot instructor, but he's now part of the moderation team. He says hello, Nuggets. Renzolo is one of our top pilots and very cool guy, and I know he's going to do a good job as a pilot instructor. The role of a pilot instructor is basically to help new pilots or even experienced pilots, help them train, help them learn the game. So if you have any questions about how things work, they all have ribbon insignias. Yeah. So yeah, Renzolo is our new pilot instructor, joining Craze Gunman and Ivan, and I know he's gonna do a great job. So if you have questions, talk to your new pilot instructor. Okay, so I think with that, I covered everything. The other thing I did, I forgot, is I did tweak. We do have the new reticle is designed to do a better job at standing out against bright areas. I mean, definitely being up against the bright area will still make it a little bit harder to see than if you're looking at a dark area. That's intentional. I tried like full opacity, but it just looks ugly. And plus, I want you have to deal with things like fog or the sun in your face or the sun in your eyes. So. But before it was almost invisible, so now it's visible enough so you can still use it. Here I am looking at a very bright part of the display, but not so bright where you had nothing to look at. Yeah, you're chasing the elite feel. Yeah, I played some elite high-end engineered combat for the first time the other day. I think it was 2 days ago. It was fun. I played for about an hour. One battle I ended at 0% hull and had to make a landing on 0 hull. And made it with 19 seconds to spare, then blow myself up. I was proud of that. But yeah, I mean, it's the games are so, in many ways, I mean, they have a lot of stuff in common because they're 6 Degrees of Freedom, they're space combat games, but in many ways they're radically different.
Yeah. Almost
so
not comparable.
Yeah, so and I always feel like if you're gonna do something, it should be true to that what that is instead of trying to be a pale imitation of something else, right? So
Yeah.
what I will say is that the new alliance that's coming into the game, these are United Colony ship, the new alliance, the Earth Alliance, while it won't be exactly like Elite for sure, it will have some more similarities. It's not by design, but it's more by coincidence. But I wanted it to, one of the main things is going to have similar, it's going to be more role centric instead of yaw centric. Yeah, it's not a bad thing. It's not about good or bad. It's different, right? So yeah, yeah. Try adjusting the mouse controls. You should be able to get them. You should be able to get them to work similarly, and don't feel you have to use the classic VJoy. Rui can testify that with the right settings, he thinks that the HunterNet VJoy works better for this game with flight assist off. So, and that's been my experience too.
Wait, right, I can
I
just
think
talk in voice.
if you tuned the classic VJoy, if you tuned it just right, it would be just as good. But it's takes a lot more tuning to get the classic one to.
Yeah, I meant to say I could just as easily use HunterNet VJoy, which is a lot like Everspace with fixed mouse center thing.
Yeah, but plus there's a new feature in HunterNet Mouse VJoy where you can set it to auto center, so you can get it to work more like the Elite relative mouse.
I'm
And
playing
the other
around with
thing,
those
the other
values right
thing,
now.
I didn't do it in this build, but that play session I had in Elite, that and thanks to Exigis, by the way, he's the one who gave me a loanership because I don't have the busy developers don't have time to do engineering grind. That would have been taking way too long. But I was flying one of his kitted up chieftain, and against an FDL, I think it was. I don't know what the other person was using. But I think it was an FDL.
It
And
really exceeded that fight.
yeah, the enemy had a better ship than me. But I almost killed him. One fight. It was pretty close. But anyways, one things I noticed when I was playing, because I was playing flight assist off, is whenever I would switch to flight assist on, oh my god, my mouse arm would get tired because the centering value that worked really well with flight assist off worked against me when I had flight assist on. So one thing that's coming to HunterNet in the next build is you'll be able for both of the VJoys set a different auto center value for when you have flight assist on and for when you have flight assist off. So we'll switch between those two values based on your flight assist on and off status in your ship. So that way you can get the best of both worlds. So
Yeah, the funny thing is actually that's a very actual problem in Elite because in Super Cruise you can't use flight assist off.
Yeah,
And a lot of people
just buying separate keys for moving in Super Cruise because it's so painful.
yeah.
and a lo- a
Well,
lot of
I
people-
noticed it when I got interdicted, and I was doing that little mini game where you have to kind of. And man, it was such a pain in the butt having to move the mouse nonstop like that.
You
And
either
that-
have to
well-
get used to it, or you have to just bind like arrow keys or something. Because
Yeah.
if you use mouse, you have to move your mouse up or down or left or whatever.
Yeah, that makes sense. So that pain influenced. That's a lot of HunterNet has been reacting to my pain. So Mosquito Breath says he prefers the HunterNet VJoy as well. Nice, Mosquito Breath. I've seen you've been ranking up in the HunterNet log, so I don't know. I haven't checked to see if you're on the server or just in the Twitch chat. Nope, he's not on the server right now. But yeah. Okay. Let's see. Oh, the other thing I'm gonna say is that if you're trying out the new lead ring, it's definitely gonna be easier with the faster weapons like the Gat and the Vol, and it's definitely more challenging with plasma. I tested it with plasma cannon and heavy cannon and everything like that. But keep in mind that there is weapon balancing left to be done. I didn't do the weapon. We've done many iterations of weapon balancing, but one of the reasons I've been sort of holding back on additional round of weapon balancing is that how you balance the weapons is heavily influenced by the kind of lead indicators the game has. So right now, these weapons were balanced for no pips, but when you're using the pips, I feel they're a little bit too fast. And now that we have a new ring indicator, that's going to change the projectile velocity that I feel will be right for the weapons. The other thing is, I wanted to buff some of the slower weapons, the plasma cannon in particular. But I decided I'm going to wait until we do the sort of general weapons rebalancing and do it then instead of adjusting it now. But yeah, the new ring indicator is going to tie into that. Okay, so I'll let you guys keep warming up here, and then I think you're doing full green, Renzo. So you guys, please share your themes and screenshots on the HunterNet Media channel. You can paste the theme along with the screenshot, and then people can copy that text and paste it into the game. So it's very easy to share themes with people. So I'm really curious to see everybody's themes. And the other thing is, this build is going to go to Steam. I didn't put it on Steam yet, but it'll probably go on Steam on Tuesday. And I'm going to start handing out Steam tester keys during this week. And then hopefully next week I'll be a little bit more well set up with my stream and Steam, so that I can have the Steam version up before the stream goes. But part of getting on Steam is not just getting the build on there. It's like the stuff on the Steam page is way out of date, like the screenshots, the videos, the descriptions. So help from you guys taking screenshots. So if you have a good computer that can run the game at high res with full settings, and you see a nice screenshot, definitely share that with us. Crix had a little message in chat here. Having two different settings yeah. Having two different settings for flight assist on and off is awesome. That's exactly what game development should be learning from others' mistake. That's great. Thank you, Crix. Yeah, I'm always looking for little refinements. I mean, a lot of joystick users have probably noticed that the way you map your joystick in HunterNet is pretty different, but that's just from, that came out of my own frustrations as a HOTAS user of having like go through the typical like sing and dance where you like press escape, bring up the menu, go to settings, go to joystick, find the button, press escape, go back, apply, go look at the setting. We all know that like that back and forth dance that you normally have to do when setting up joysticks, and or even keyboard and mouse really, but it's particularly bad with joysticks. That's why I decided to integrate that into the HUD menu. Okay. I'm gonna.
Yeah, that's great. The non-modal joystick thingy. That's cool.
Yeah.
Testing while mapping it. That's really good.
Non-modal interfaces are great. Eat that, VI users. I used to be a VI guy, but I like non-modal better most of the time. That's some programmer talk, guys. There's some text editors that are modal, and most editors like Microsoft Word are non-modal.
Wikipedia modal window.
But yeah, another thing, if you guys haven't seen it, I'm going to be putting the 4 pillars diagram on the website probably this week just to get it up there. I showed it off during streams in the past. That's really what we're working towards, is bringing that vision alive. And part of the open world sort of ties into the joysticks. Right now, if you're on the server, you want to set up your joysticks. Sometimes people ask, how do I set up my joysticks? People are shooting me. Oh, what I recommend is flying off into the distance, because you can fly for a whole hour before you hit the end of this map at the speed of sound. I don't know the exact timings, but there's some, you can get pretty far away from the action. So that's one way to avoid getting ganked while setting up your joysticks, and they're not going to be able to target you, right? Because of the sensor limitations. Once you get out of 8 kilometers range, you're going to have a hard time finding you. But going forward, the idea is when you join a server, you would first be put into a private instance, and in that private instance, you could set everything up and take your time, and then when you're ready, you would warp to or jump